All right, in this video we're going to go over how to use a grid to draw accurately, and you will be doing that for your project. So here is a more simple drawing that is drawn in the same style that you will use for your project. When you're getting ready to do this drawing, you are going to use a 2H pencil to begin with. Make sure that you are not pushing hard with your 2H pencil. And if you read the instructions, it'll tell you about what you need to do, and we will go over those in class. But I will be using a 2B pencil because it's hard for you to see the 2H pencil on the projector. It just doesn't pick it up very well. So we're going to keep it situated just like this. And I'm going to start with a really light outline. Now, when you're drawing using a grid, you need to have the same size boxes down below, or proportionally the same size boxes. You can make them larger, but they have to be proportional. These are exactly the same size boxes. When you're using a grid to draw, you look and see what is in each square, and you try to reproduce it in the square for your drawing. So, for example, right here, I can see that in this square there is just a little lumpy line that goes across right here. This little lumpy line is about 1/3 of the way in here, and it's just a tiny bit up from the intersection in those lines. So I would lightly with my 2H pencil draw in that line, okay? And then that would be all you needed to draw for this. You don't need to draw this arrow going through. That was some instructions that was on the handout. So what I'm going to do next is to draw this line going down, and then I will draw this circle in and then erase the line that goes down. So I'm going to go down with this, just like that, and I can see how it goes through in the same spot here, and then it's going to go through in the same spot over here. Okay, now as it goes through this way, it is just even, right? And it goes maybe just a little bit down at the end. Okay. As I get over here, I'm going to draw this little shape up here. Okay. Now I have this little thing started. I'm going to go back up here and continue with my squares so that I make sure that I filled everything in that I needed to. So I've got this little guy done here, this square is done. So now I need to do this square, which means I need to do this circle shape here. So the circle shape goes all the way up to the little intersection up here, and it extends out, covering the line that I drew, and it's going to go over and under. Now I'm paying attention to these two lines because this is the front side of the wheel and then this is the back side of the wheel. In order to make it three-dimensional, I'll need to have a little line for both of them. So as I'm doing this, I will go around like that and around. And then I'm going to check this out. I need to make it a little bit rounder. So I'm going to tilt myself and my hand. You could turn your paper, but I don't want to turn my paper because that will make it hard for you to see. So we'll do that so that it's comfortable. And then I'm going to do a little bit of erasing so that my drawing is not confusing to look at. Okay, so now I have the front part of this wheel drawn in. The wheel is kind of covered by some surface down here, so it isn't the whole wheel. And I'm just trying to get the angle correct. All right, and then now we're going to draw the side of the wheel because I'd like to complete the whole shape before I move on, making sure that I haven't forgotten parts because it's hard sometimes when you forget parts. All right, so I have that, and then let's make sure this is in and it's pretty accurate. So now I have my little wheel drawn in, And I'm going to go up here and draw a little line to represent where the front part of the cart is coming out, just like this, right? And that won't be a hard line when I add the value because it is just a shade. So I will get that taken care of. Then after I do that, I'm going to leave off the little circles for a minute and go over here and get the top of the car done. And it's kind of a gentle angle as it goes down through, and then you can see how it slopes through here. And the start of the little buddy that's in the toy car is in this square, but I'm going to draw this line straight through so that it looks more continuous. And I'm just adjusting it because I can see there's more distance here and that I need to adjust this line as well, because it's going to be the value line like that is as in there. Okay, so I've done some adjusting and I have lots of lines, and I know that it gets confusing when there's lots of lines, so I'm going to erase and get some lines. And then this is going to come all the way through here. You can see how it goes all the way over there, and I want it to look like it's part of the same thing. So I'll draw it as a continuous line, and then I'll draw the circle over it. All right, now in the same vein of I'm trying to make my way systematically across, I'm going to go over here and do what I can to complete up here. So this is the back wheel, and the back wheel just sort of goes like a little gentle curve up. Now I'm going to start to draw this little person in here, and my little person is coming out of a like slightly rounded ship. So he's got a little rounded hole that he's sitting in, and so I'll draw just that little oval for it. And then I'm going to draw a line that's going up, but it's just a little line, and then another line that's going up, and then a curve, and then a little line that goes up, and a parallel line for the top part of the curve. And then he's going to have his little top part. And again, I want it to look continuous, so I drew it all the way around, but I will erase parts of it later. So for right now, I'm just going to erase that and lighten that up. Okay, so now it's time to get our little dude's head, and you can see that the little dude's head goes a little bit in this square. It has just a tiny little corner here, a little splice here, and then it comes up and goes around. So I'm going to be paying attention as best I can to those proportions as I draw his little head. So I did this very lightly because I don't want him to look lumpy, and I'll be able to fix it up a little with value as I go, but just slowly trying to get his little head in there. Okay, and I wouldn't draw his little face in now because I'm going to add value to the sphere, and if I have to adjust the value, I'll have to erase parts of his face, and I won't like doing that, so I'm not going to do that right now. But now I've got his little head in, and I have the little body of the toy, I have most of the car, and we'll need to go back and do those details, and then I need to do the front wheel, so I'm going to do the front wheel now. You can see that this little opening is right here, and it goes into the front part of the car, and then the little wheel will come out and around through here. So I'm going to draw in this wheel, just like that. So working on the car front, and I will be adjusting this as I adjust the value. And then now I'm going to draw in the front wheel, and it goes up and over. Now we need to make sure that we can see the front of the little cart through here. So I'm going to adjust him a little bit because I can see that I won't be able to with the way he is right now. So let's take this around. This comes around down here. So hopefully the idea is that you're looking at the drawing that you're trying to reproduce as much as you look at your own drawing, and you're being honest with yourself. And if you've drawn something and it's not quite right, you are having the courage to change it instead of just leaving it alone like, oh well, that's the best I can do, that's the best I can do, and not even really trying to adjust it and make it truly the best that you can do. So let's get that erased and lightened. Sorry for covering that up. And then I'm going to add in this little sliver . Okay, so pretty cool. We have him set up. Now let's do the little wells. Oh, real quick, let's do this line. And it's the table that it's sitting on. Goes here to there. Okay, now the little wheel wells are going to go in here. I'm just adjusting that shape. Because the thing with proportions in your drawings is that you have to kind of have it all done to tell if it's right. And I know that that makes it really hard. You want it to be perfect when you first draw it out, but that it doesn't really work like that. You can draw it and it'll look pretty good, and then you need to just move on to working on the rest of the drawing and then revisit it as you have other things to compare it to in your final picture. And that's just how drawing works. So you can't necessarily get it perfect from the get-go. You have to look at it and try and refine and be honest with yourself as you're drawing if you've gotten it as close as you're able, or if you have some more work to do. So we've got this last kind of little guy. All right, and everybody looks pretty good, so that's it for the outline.